Well, we are here now. That's the British Embassy behind me. And people are starting to gather. We have signs. We are protesting. I'm wearing my Build Israel Great Again hat. It's scheduled to go at 6, but people are here early. And yes, you wouldn't believe it, but here in Tel Aviv, despite all of the negativity about Tommy Robinson that the British press and especially the Jewish Chronicle and other established Jewish figures like to put out, people actually listen to what Tommy says. People watch Tommy's videos. People know he is not an anti-Semite, anti-Shemi. People know that he is a genuine, non-racist guy fighting the system. And there's Yankee. Yankee called this. Dina is the other person. She called it. And I didn't organize this. And to be honest, I'm absolutely bloody amazed. We got a few people. There's more coming because we set the time for 6. So we'll see how many are there. And I'm going to go live again when people get here. And I just want to address
most
this.
of the people don't know anything.
Yeah.
Because also the media, the lefty media here does not cover it.
Yeah, the media is not covering this, obviously. But I want to explain something. This is a message for the judge. The judge in the court case in Leeds. The one who sent the police outside to arrest Tommy Robinson. The judge who took him inside, who lied to his counsel that he was going to release him, and then who tried him, convicted him, and sent him to prison, and then banned the UK press from talking about. This is for you, Judge. This is for you, Judge. Okay? What you should have done is put on your wig and your gown, and you should have walked outside of your court onto the street. Because as far as I know, whilst you are a king in your court, by arresting Tommy Robinson off the street outside your court without a warning and sending him to prison for over a year without a warning, based on a previous conviction which was pretty unsafe anyway, what you did was you extended your jurisdiction and your power, Judge. You extended it to the street outside your court. And I don't know whether the British people understand that. And I don't know whether the British people elected that and gave that power to you, the British subjects. Okay? So you extended your power, I think, dramatically. What you should have done is gone out on the street in your wig and your gown, should have walked up to Tommy, because he's a very, very sensible guy, and you should have said to him, listen, Tommy, there's a very important court case going on here. We're trying to get some of these people and find out if they're guilty or innocent and sentence them accordingly or release them. But we're trying to do it fairly, in the British way. What you're doing, you could have told him this. What you're doing is prejudicial. Stop doing it. And you know what? He probably would have listened. I don't know if he'd have stopped, because Tommy's a hothead kind of guy. But he might have stopped. But at least if you'd given him that chance, you wouldn't look like a fascist dictator in your own little court world by sending him to prison, which could have been a death sentence for him. So, Mr. Judge, I think you made a mistake. Or Mrs. Judge, I can't actually tell. The reporting is so confused from Britain because of your banning order. I don't know if you're a man or a woman. There's conflicting reports. How crazy is that? But then again, we're living in an age where I shouldn't really assume anybody's gender. So, Judge, you created a protest on the streets of Tel Aviv. Think about that. Think about how you managed to create a protest on the streets of Tel Aviv by jailing one man called Tommy Robinson. I'm going to Periscope again when there's more people here, because 6 o'clock was the appointed time for the start, which is in about 20 minutes or so. But I'm impressed that people here in Israel, with no press coverage at all, I can tell you. It's just the social nets, just the internets, just the web, just me, just Periscope, just Yanni, just Dino. That's who got people on the street here. But really, it was that judge in London, in Leeds. Well done. Well done. Think how this makes Theresa May look and feel. All right, speak to you all later. Keep watching for my Periscope, subscribe. I'm Brian of London, but I live in Tel Aviv.
האנשים האלה, הממשלה בעצם מסתירה את זה. וטומי רובינסון, פעיל ימני רעדה, הממשלה פשוט מפחדת ממנו. והיא רועדת, היא חושבת שהוא הולך להפוך לאיזשהו ארגון פשיסטי ימני. לא! הוא פעיל זכויות אדם שגילה שבחסות הממשלה הבריטית עשרות אלפי ילדים ב-40 השנים האחרונות נסחרו על ידי כנופיות מוסלמיות, ואת זה הממשלה מנסה להסתיר. הם עצרו אותו כמה פעמים בעוון הפרת הסדר הציבורי. זה בעצם, כמו שאומרים אצלנו, מאסר שעושים בדרך כלל למתנחלים בשטחים, שעוצרים אותם מעצר מנהלי, כדי בעצם להרחיק אותם מהמקומות האלה. הוא סיקר ביום שישי האחרון משפט של אחד מהם, ובמשפט היה אסור לו להיכנס לתוך בית משפט, שזה עוד דבר שבית המשפט לא מרשה שמה, לסקר את המשפטים האלה, ובאיזשהו שלב עצרו אותו בגין הפרת הסדר הציבורי.
אבל הוא לא היה בתוך בית המשפט.
הוא לא היה בתוך בית המשפט, הוא היה בחוץ, והוא צילם עם הפלאפון שלו. באיזשהו שלב הוא נעצר, ובגלל שהיה לו פעמיים על תנאי על הפרת הסדר הציבורי, זרקו אותו לכלא ללא עורך דין למשך 13 חודשים. החיים שלו בסכנה. היום זה טומי רובינסון, בגלל שבתי הכלא מלאים במוסלמים שהוא דאג להכניס לכלא על פשעים שהם עשו. היום זה טומי רובינסון, מחר זה אנחנו. זה לא קשור ימין או שמאל. טומי רובינסון חייב להיות משוחרר מהכלא על חשיפת פשעים שהממשלה הבריטית מסתירה.
תודה רבה.
That was Yanni.
השם שלי זה ינקי פרבר.
תודה
פעיל
רבה.
חברתי.
תודה רבה.
So that was Yankee explaining to his followers in Hebrew the Tommy Robinson situation. So we got a bunch of people here. To be honest, you wouldn't believe, I can't quite understand how many people here even know who Tommy Robinson really is. The press that Tommy has received over his years about Israel has been so negative. The Jewish Chronicle hates him. The Jewish Chronicle hates me. They hate me for liking Tommy. And we got people on the streets in Tel Aviv protesting because they arrested Tommy. Amazing. And yeah, you know what? If there's someone here who can speak Arabic, we'll try. Hold on. Is anyone here who can speak Arabic? You can't speak Arabic good enough. All right, I'll tell you what. We're going to have the very best. No. She's not going to do it. Okay. Yeah, we need some Arabic. I do agree. All right, I'm going to close this Periscope, but keep watching. I'm going to go live again later.
Where are you from?
All right, I'm live again. This is Brian of London. Brian of London outside the British Embassy in the beautiful Tel Aviv setting sun, which is setting just over there. Oh, so this is the golden hour for photography. Yeah, we have the sun and we have freedom of speech and we can stand here and we can say free Tommy. I tell you, we've had tourists walk up, ask us what's happening. I was just speaking to some tourists from Britain who support Tommy.
And Britain don't
Exactly. We live in a highly militarized state, apparently, and we have better freedom of speech than you do back in the UK. Anyway, this is the turnout's been immense, actually. Really, considering just how unknown this cause is here, I'm impressed. And what we're doing here, it's just, you know, what it is to do. It's to say to those of you in power in Britain, those of you who think that you need to submit to Islam, to be dhimmis, to be dhimmitudes, to be subservient and to submit to your Islamic overlords because you are fearful of the reaction if you fight back, to the leadership of Britain, because the people are not like this. Where are the people? Where is the spirit of Churchill? Where are the people who came up from the shelters in the Blitz, carried on with their life? Where are those people? And to you, to the British people, what are you doing with leaders like this? Like Theresa May. Theresa May, as Home Secretary, banned Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer, two of the finest people I know speaking about Islam. Robert Spencer has written book after book after book. Nobody has ever managed to come with a cogent criticism of any one of Robert's books, okay? You can't do it because he's right. He's a scholar. You banned him from the country because you were fearful of the reaction of your population. the population that you're courting for votes. Theresa May, you banned him. And do you know who invited Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer to the UK when they were banned by Theresa May? Guess. I bet you can't guess. Well, it's in Pamela's book if you want to know. Tommy Robinson invited them to the UK. It's all linked. It's all linked. And now, Theresa May, it's taken her a year or so to engineer the conditions into which she could just slap Tommy into prison. And now she's managed it. So she's got Tommy in prison. She's got him where she wants him. And she even managed to get a judge to issue a gagging notice, a D notice, so that you in Britain can't talk about it. Perfect, she thought. She can go away to Chequers for the weekend and put her feet up and have a lovely time and a glass of sherry. Well, Theresa May, you put him in prison on a Friday, and by Saturday morning, hundreds of thousands of people in America and across the world, including bloody Tel Aviv, look at this. We've got Arabs trying to kill us on every border, yet we're taking the time out of our day to say free Tommy Robinson. Theresa May, you did this. The judge in the case in Leeds, you did this. You did this. And you thought this would be quiet. You thought you'd just put Tommy in prison, maybe he'd get beaten up, maybe he'd give up, he'd stop talking about this stuff. Well, you didn't. And you also thought maybe people will stop talking about the rape gangs up and down your country for the last 40 years. And the people in the councils who are complicit, the people in the councils and the police who are complicit in the rape of your children. You thought that would just go away. Well, it won't, because there's a book called Easy Meat by my friend Peter McLaughlin. And funnily enough, Tommy is the key to that too, because it was through the EDL that both Peter McLaughlin and I first learnt of the rape gangs roaming your country for 40 years, all from one community and one identity. Not a race. It's not a race or racial thing. See my YouTube videos on Easy Meat, because that's the name of the one and only book on this subject. It's not about a race. It's about an ideology that says you can take anything that your right hand possesses. That's what is causing your rape gang epidemic in the UK. And the more than 300 people who have been convicted, but that's nothing. 40 years it's been going on. 1,400 victims in Rotherham alone. One of the girls said she was raped by 30 men in a single night. How do you think that 300 people locked up accounts for 40 years? It doesn't. And how many men who did this, who raped young non-Muslim girls, Kafar girls, Sikh girls as well, though the Sikhs woke up to this very early and started protecting their children in the way that, unfortunately, the indigenous population of Britain was prevented from doing. How on earth do you think that locking up 300 men, another 30 if that happens in Leeds, if they're found guilty, because of course they're innocent, how do you think that accounts for 40 years of this crime? Doesn't. You're nowhere near close. And what about all of the ones who must be working in councils and in the police? What are you doing? Has any single child protection officer been at least reprimanded? Not to my knowledge. Has anyone in the police been reprimanded for dereliction of duty when these girls came in, raped? 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old girls who had obviously had sex, who were asking for contraception, who were asking for day after contraception, and you said that they were just slags and they deserved it. Has anyone who did that been prosecuted? Not to my knowledge yet. You're going to have to start doing that soon. And even if it costs you votes, and even if it upsets one element of the population, you're going to have to start, because if you don't, it could get really nasty. Tommy was bringing attention to all of that, and I suspect putting him in prison is going to make it worse, because there will be a third edition of Easy Meat. Peter has to update the book because he has to add Telford to it, and he has to add all the things that Tommy's done in the last year and a half. And who knows, when the third edition of Easy Meat comes out, remember, Peter's already co-authored a book with Tommy Robinson. Perhaps you'll find that Easy Meat, the third edition, the next edition, that could be a real bestseller. And people will start to learn not just sound bites, but the real details of the cover-up, of the crimes, and how it came to pass that Britain has let hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million of its daughters be raped by gangs of men who do not regard kuffar women as human. It's a very, very serious charge. And you are raising the profile. You who locked Tommy up, you're raising the profile and the chances of that. Anyway, see you all next year in Jerusalem for the Eurovision Song Contest! So I'm walking back to my car after quite an evening, actually. That was really encouraging to see how many people showed up. Let's jaywalk across this street and get killed. And so I wanted to tell the story of this t-shirt, because I never walk around Tel Aviv in a t-shirt that says Mossad, because that's something only tourists do. But I bought this t-shirt was actually bought for me by Kay Wilson. You can look up her story, it's an amazing story. And it was bought at the top of the Golan Heights. And we were up there. I was up there with Tommy and his friends. I'd taken them all up there. I drove them up there. That was the same day that we took the photograph, the famous photograph of Tommy standing on a tank in his shit shorts, as he calls them, and his flip-flops. And we went up to the top of the Golan Heights to a place called Cafe Annan, which literally means coffee in the clouds. And it's also a play on the name of Kofi Annan, a former head of the UN, because the UN actually stand up there. They have a permanent observation force where they look down on Syria, because Syria's too bloody dangerous for the UN, so they just stand in Israel, and at 4:30 they clock off and go home, and they stay up there next to this wonderful coffee place that does great coffee. And we all went up there. We had a wonderful pizza. And while we were eating pizza, we heard this like multiple explosions. We ran outside and see the smoke from a multiple Katyusha rocket launch that happened over in Syria. You know, one faction fighting another on their basically at our feet. It's pretty unbelievable that there is a full-on war going about 200 and something kilometers to my north. Anyway, that was the day I bought this Mossad t-shirt, and Tommy got a similar one, I think, and he got his IDF t-shirt, which he wore later that day. So that's why I'm wearing the Mossad t-shirt, because I bought it with Tommy. I'm wearing also, to give my fashion rundown here, my Build Israel Great Again hat, which of course is modelled on the red Trump hat, and that slogan and this hat was made by the people from the Shomron, from my friend Ellie Pipers, who actually helped us out with Tommy and gave us a tour of parts of what the press mistakenly call the West Bank, but we know it as Yehuda Shomron, Judea and Samaria, the heartlands of Israel. And they made this hat, Build Israel Great Again, because that's what we're doing here. We're building a great country. We're building something productive, something that gives back to the world, something that produces technology, ways, and all of this other stuff that you use every day, the cameras in your cell phones, all of it comes from here. Because that's what we do. That's what Israel does. And Tommy came, saw it, met the people. He met Arabs. We toured some of the time with a friend of Kay's, who I can't really name him because he professed his support for Israel. He's an Israeli Arab, and he had to flee his town, his Arab town in Israel. Kay sheltered him, and you know, at some risk to her own life. Kay is someone who you will never meet another person who has come closer to dying at the hands of jihad and lived than Kay. So, and yet she has bravery and the time and the patience and the love to rescue Arabs if she needs to. It's not about hatred of people, and it's not about hatred of Muslims, because we don't hate Muslims. No, there's an ideological problem, but we have to call out the ideology. We just have to. And that's what Tommy does. That's what I'm doing. It's about trying to free people from an ideology of hatred. Because that's what it is. Get away from it. Get out of it. Go find something that's more loving. Because it's very, very negative for everybody. That's what we're trying to do. And it was very, very heartening to see people turn up in Tel Aviv, where Tommy is really not a household name, I can assure you, and just say free Tommy Robinson, because what's being done to him in the past by the British police and courts is a travesty. What was done to him in Canterbury a year ago was a travesty, and that is what set him up to be whisked away to prison on a ridiculous, unbelievable sentence on Friday. That is, you know, you people in Britain, you really are in danger. You are absolutely in danger, because if you can't criticize an ideology that wants to kill you, that blows up your children in a pop concert and drives cars across bridges ramming into you and then pulls out knives and stabs you, if you can't criticize that, what the hell is left? What are you doing with your country? How are you going to get it back? Don't do that. We know how to resist here in Israel. Sometimes we forget a bit. We try and make stupid peace plans that don't work. But eventually we get our balls back. And what you need to do back in Britain is listen to Tommy Robinson, not lock him up, and you need to get your balls back. All right, been a great night, great evening. Thanks very much for watching all this, and thanks for sharing. Bye-bye.